Hello everyone, today, we're going to learn 13 phrasal verbs. And I'm sure this lesson will improve your English. Let's get started.
Coco.
Abandon oneself to something.
Abandon oneself to something.
Abandon oneself to is a phrase used to describe giving in completely to an emotion or experience. Here's an example.
During the concert, she abandoned herself to the music.
During the concert, she abandoned herself to the music.
In the sentence, it means that she let herself fully enjoy and be a part of the music. She was really into the music, like it was the only thing that mattered at that moment. Here's another example.
When he lost his job, he abandoned himself to despair.
When he lost his job, he abandoned himself to despair.
In the sentence, it means that when he lost his job, he became very sad and stopped trying to feel better. It's like he gave up and allowed the sadness to control him.
Abide by something.
Abide by something.
Abide by means to follow or obey a set of rules, laws, or instructions. Here's an example.
All drivers should abide by the speed limit to keep the roads safe.
All drivers should abide by the speed limit to keep the roads safe.
In the sentence, it means that every person who drives a car needs to follow the speed rules. This is important to avoid accidents and make sure everyone on the road is safe.
Abound in something.
Abound with something.
Abound in, or abound with, means to have a lot of something or to be very rich in something. Here's an example.
The forest abounds in wildlife, from birds to deer.
The forest abounds in wildlife, from birds to deer.
In the sentence, it means that the forest has a lot of different animals living in it. Here's another example.
The garden abounds with colorful flowers.
The garden abounds with colorful flowers.
In the sentence, it means that the garden is full of many different colored flowers.
Abstain from something.
Abstain from something.
Abstain from means to deliberately avoid doing or having something, especially something enjoyable or bad for you. It's often used when someone chooses not to participate in an activity or consume something, like food or alcohol. Here's an example.
He decided to abstain from eating sweets to improve his health.
He decided to abstain from eating sweets to improve his health.
In the sentence, it means that he made a choice not to eat sweet foods in order to become healthier.
Accede to something.
Accede to something.
Accede to means to agree to a request or to give in to a demand. It's often used when someone initially doesn't want to do something, but then agrees to it after some persuasion or consideration. Here's an example.
The CEO finally acceded to the employees' demand after a big strike.
The CEO finally acceded to the employees' demand after a big strike.
In the sentence, it means that after the employees went on a significant strike, the CEO agreed to what they were asking for.
Account for something.
Account for something.
Account for means to explain the reason for something or to justify something. It is used when trying to give a reason or cause for a particular situation or action. Here's an example.
The manager had to account for the missing funds in the report.
The manager had to account for the missing funds in the report.
In the sentence, it means the manager needed to explain why there was money missing in the report. Account for can also mean to make up a part or percentage of something. It is used when describing how much of the whole something represents. Here's an example.
Students account for 20% of the total number of people in the town.
Students account for 20% of the total number of people in the town.
In the sentence, it means that the students make up 20% of the town's population.
Ache for something, or somebody.
Ache for something, or somebody.
Ache for means to have a strong desire for something or someone, or to feel a deep sense of longing or sadness about something missing. Here's an example.
After moving to a new city, she ached for her family in her hometown.
After moving to a new city, she ached for her family in her hometown.
In the sentence, it means that she really missed her family from her hometown and felt sad because she wanted to be with them.
Acquaint somebody with something.
Acquaint somebody with something.
Acquaint with means to make someone aware of, or familiar with something. It is used when introducing someone to new information, a person, a place, or an experience. Here's an example.
The tour guide acquainted the tourists with the history of the castle.
The tour guide acquainted the tourists with the history of the castle.
In the sentence, it means the tour guide introduced the tourists to the castle's history, making them aware of it or helping them learn about it.
Act for somebody.
Act for somebody.
Act for means to represent someone, especially in making decisions or taking actions on their behalf. It's often used in legal, business, or representative contexts. Here's an example.
The lawyer acted for her in court, speaking and making decisions on her behalf.
The lawyer acted for her in court, speaking and making decisions on her behalf.
In the sentence, it means the lawyer represented her in court, handling her case and making choices as if they were her own.
Act out.
Act out.
Act out means to perform an action or behavior, often one that is not typical for the person doing it. It's commonly used to describe someone, especially a child, showing their emotions or frustrations through their behavior. Here's an example.
The child acted out in class by shouting and not listening to the teacher.
The child acted out in class by shouting and not listening to the teacher.
In the sentence, it means that the child displayed disruptive behavior in class, like shouting and not following the teacher's instructions, possibly because of frustration or seeking attention.
Act up.
Act up.
Act up means to behave badly or cause trouble, often used to describe machinery or part of the body that is not functioning properly. Here's an example.
The teacher had a hard time when the students started to act up in the museum.
The teacher had a hard time when the students started to act up in the museum.
In the sentence, it means that the students began to misbehave or cause trouble in the museum, making it difficult for the teacher to manage them. Here's another example.
Every time it rains, my knee starts to act up, causing a lot of pain.
Every time it rains, my knee starts to act up, causing a lot of pain.
In the sentence, it means that whenever it rains, the person's knee begins to cause problems or pain, possibly due to a previous injury or arthritis.
Add up.
Add up.
Add up means to seem logical or consistent. It is used when the pieces of information or facts fit together in a way that is understandable. Here's an example.
The detective said the clues didn't add up, making the mystery harder to solve.
The detective said the clues didn't add up, making the mystery harder to solve.
In the sentence, it means that the clues or pieces of evidence in the mystery were not fitting together logically, making it difficult for the detective to understand or solve the case.
Add up to something.
Add up to something.
Add up to means to represent the total amount of something when everything is combined. Or it can mean to result in something when all aspects are considered. Here's an example.
All her small savings added up to enough money to buy a new bicycle.
All her small savings added up to enough money to buy a new bicycle.
In the sentence, it means that when she combined all her little amounts of saved money, the total was enough for her to purchase a new bicycle. Coco.
This is the end of today's lesson. Let's review the phrasal verbs we've learned today.